Oh, Knicks fans, party people in the place to be. What's good? It's the number one Chief Rock Knicks Universal main man, Uncle Freezie. And welcome to another episode of the Big Bossman Roundtable. Again, yours truly is Uncle Freezie. I have the Big Boss Man backstage, ready to rock, queued up, ready to talk that talk the way that you like to have that talk to y'all. And with no further ado, ladies and gentlemen, introducing the Big Boss Man himself, the gatekeeper on Twitter, the most knowledgeable man in Knicks universe, Woodshed 1914. Dumb.
How you doing tonight, Freezie?
Man, I'm good. I'm super good, man. You?
I'm good, man. Life is good, man. I just want to say good evening, everybody. Thanks for checking us out. And start off with not a rant, but just a mini soliloquy. Over the years, I've kind of transformed to a degree. You know, growing up watching the Knicks as a small child in the early '80s, and watching us get the first pick in '85, get that generational talent in Patrick Ewing that no matter who we played, you step on the court, you feel like you got a chance because he's in the building, and then that team blossomed into um, a nice young run and gun team in '88, '89 under Rick Pitino, had two really what I consider Hall of Fame or borderline Hall of Fame point guards in Strickland and Mark Jackson. That falls apart because ownership and the GM didn't like the way we were running gun in the late '80s. And then they recovered to a degree. Been in the point guard wilderness since then up until now, but recovered to a degree. Became a competitive team in the early '90s, and then became a championship contender from the mid '90s to the late '90s. Then we usher in, the Isaiah Thomas era.
Right.
A lot of irresponsible trades. Some of them weren't necessarily bad ideas, but poorly executed and poorly timed. And they wander in the wilderness. And then we finally make what I consider one of the greatest trades in league history and bring in Carmelo. But we botched that, by amnestying Billups on an expiring contract. When you could have just let him walk and saved that clause for after Mari's, lower legs got torn up.
Right.
You jump out the window, trade for Tyson Chandler instead of waiting for CP3, which, you can't call that era bust because we had talent on that roster, but we should have won something with that team. Fast forward, we back in the wilderness again. We're looking at lineups of Langston Galloway, Ricky Leto, Lexi Chavez, Lou Iverson getting minutes, Jason Smith getting minutes, like Billy Herman Gomez getting minutes.
Sergio Rodriguez.
Sergio Rodriguez getting minutes, like Ron Baker getting a no trade clause.
Travis Ware.
Right. Travis Ware, Phil Jackson having faith in Travis Ware. Like, we go from that. And then we go to right, McDonald's, Kuzminskis that Phil Jackson sold us on that this guy can play. And we go from that to drafting this 7'3" kid out of Latvia that I'm not gonna lie. I had a rant on social media that had like 3,000 views. I did not like the pick. In hindsight, I was wrong because upon further investigations, this dude was 7'3" and could move and handle like a small forward.
Right.
Go from that to this kid being unhappy simply because he was worth the money that was available to him, and the Knicks said, "Hold on, just wait, get your money. We gonna pay you later." Wasn't happy about that. Long story short, he demands a trade. Knicks don't shop him for real. Mark Cuban calls and is like, "Y'all really gonna trade this dude?" Like, wait, you serious?
Boston offered Jason Tatum and 2 first-round picks, and James Dolan turned it down.
He vetoed it. The Suns, from my understanding, was the Suns were willing to offer Booker and a pick, and it was vetoed. So we end up trading him for Dennis Smith Jr., cap space, and like
DeAndre Jordan.
Right,
Wesley
like Wes
Matthews,
Matthews,
ham
like,
sandwiches,
right. Like so
and 2 first-round
that
picks.
right, 2 first-round picks. We still waiting on one of them. So we go from that to Tim Hardaway being the number 1 option. We tank it out 17 wins, watching Kevin Knox and Frank Ntilikina as the future of the franchise. To 17 wins. We go to the draft lottery with the highest odds, and we don't get the first pick. We end up taking R.J. Barrett, who's a solid young player.
Or the second
Or the
pick.
second pick. Like
Right.
that was the first time that my daughter saw me fall to my knees watching sports. That lottery night, it took a lot out of me. It was hard watching Emmanuel Mudiay be the number 1 option for the Knicks. That was tough. That was really tough. Watching your franchise players of that moment be Emmanuel Mudiay.
Taking it out to Kadeem Allen.
Right. You sit through Hazonia, Vonleh, Luke Cornett getting minutes, like
Troy Williams.
Troy Williams getting minutes. It's
Isaiah Hicks. We out here watching Isaiah Hicks.
God. What's Buddy's name for Vanderbilt? John, the shooting guard.
John Jenkins.
John Jenkins.
Yeah.
Watching John Jenkins, man. You know,
the original slow-mo.
Like, I mean, watching 65 wins only to get the 3rd pick. And then turns out that 65 losses, my bad. I'm tripping.
Yeah.
Turns out the guard that you rushed in the day before the draft, then Darius Garland, and you still took Barrett, that guard turns into an all-star point guard that you've been looking for and in the wilderness for since 1991-92.
Right.
And, you know, here we are in the 4th year, still 5th year, rather, waiting, hoping RJ's going to blossom. Okay, this is going to be the year. This is going to be the year. This is going to be the year. And then we get great flashes and we get peaks and we get valleys. We get peaks and we get valleys. So, I mean, as we stand right now, you know, we got Jalen Brunson. Hell, they had to tamper to get that done. They got Jalen Brunson signed. They got Julius Randle signed. They got those 2 dudes who are within the next 24 months are eligible to take up 60% of the cap. And if Randall continues to make All-NBA, he can take up another 5%. So that's 65% of your cap can be owed to those 2 players.
Who's the last Knicks point guard to play in the All-Star game?
Oh, man.
Mark Jackson.
In an All-Star game, it's got to be Mark Jackson.
Mark Jackson, yeah.
Because I don't think Steph made one in New York. I know he made one in New Jersey, but he didn't make one in New York. So it would be Mark Jackson in like 1992. But I mean, you're talking about a drought. Then we looking at the 2020 draft. My God, Obi Toppin. We got 2 franchise point guards. All you had to do was draft a dude named Tyrese. Don't matter which one.
Right.
Don't matter which one. Just draft one of the point guards named Tyrese, and you resolve your franchise issue of point guard.
Yeah.
So we took the scenic route. We got Jalen Brunson, and I don't know if Cuban did it. I don't know how true it is. It sounds legit, but you know the rumor came out that Cuban said they called the Knicks and they offered him Jalen Brunson, the 18th pick and the 31st pick, so they can take Halliburton at 8, and the Knicks turned it down because they were so sold on Obi Toppin. So you draft Obi Toppin, you keep Julius Randle, you don't trade him. Randle blossoms, which is great. It's rare that a dude signs with the Knicks in free agency and blossoms. What Randle has done, like you got to give him his credit. That's rare for a dude to sign with the Knicks in free agency and blossom into what people couldn't even imagine he could have been.
Yeah,
like, it's rare.
yeah.
So I mean, that happens, but you trade Obi Toppin for 2 future seconds, like. So he's gone. You know, you don't have anything really from 2021 besides Grimes, who's now he's regressing to a ninth man off the bench. Don't know how the heck it happened, but he's regressing to a ninth man off the bench.
Trash.
You know, to top that off, Immanuel Quickley pretty much has 1 foot out the door.
Yep.
They can say what they want to say. Oh, he's restricted. We can match. The dude's playing at career low minutes. Like, not career low. but he's playing lower minutes right now than he played last year in a career year, in a contract year.
Clearly,
So
it's MSG politics at play.
it's politics at play. You know, you Brunson may be out, and if Brunson is out, and you have to start quickly, he gonna go nuclear. So you know, it's the classic case of yesterday's price is not today's price. So you're gonna be looking at a situation at the end of the season where this kid may be saying, "Don't match. I'll work out a sign and trade for you, but don't match. Let me go over here where I can get my money and start." You know, like it came out that they offered him an extension, but it wasn't even fully guaranteed. Like, what are they doing?
What are they doing?
So you have a starting lineup who what Mitchell Robinson does on the boards and defensively, it really holds the team together to a degree. But offensively, I mean, he's really a deficit because you're not utilizing his rim running to make it a asset or to strike fair in the opponents with it. So it's like a traffic cone on offense. Then you got Quentin Grimes, who all of a sudden wasn't even a functional starting two guard. So you got two guys in the starting lineup that are not necessarily threats. Grimes has been unplayable recently. And here's the kicker part. These are things that you had hoped for in the offseason, but instead of assuring that you had the best starting five that you can get, you go out and plug $30 million to the bench. You signed Josh Hart for 4 years. You signed Dante DiVincenzo for 4 years to be bench players. Now, there was a glaring hole in the starting lineup to begin with, but we plugged the money into the bench. Dante's playing less minutes here than he played in Golden State last season. Josh Hart complained about his role. Quentin Grimes complained about his role. So, I mean, right now, yeah, the Knicks are 12 and 9. They're 12 and 9. No, I'm pretty sure they're 10 and 0 against the bad teams and 2 and 9 against the teams that are 500 or better. That is not good. That is not good. That's a recipe for the same season we had 2 years ago in 21-22, where we went from the 4th seed to the 11th seed. We got Thibodeau leaving guys in crunch time of a game that's over, and now we got Jalen Brunson with a twisted ankle.
And Mitch
limped to the X-ray room. So you know he has stress fracture issues in his legs, his ankles, and his feet. So that's a problem. So right now, like the only, to be completely honest, the only trade asset that they have that I think they could use to actually get something is probably Immanuel Quickley. Because Quentin Grimes' value is in the toilet right now. Like it's legitimately in the toilet. And for some reason, Julius Randle is an all NBA player, but he's a negative trade asset. I will never understand that. I'll never understand it. Like, I mean, if his name was Carlton Banks, you know, people would probably love him, but he's a data trade asset as an all NBA performer. So the question that you have to ask yourself is, A, here we are again saying, okay, not necessarily what are the Knicks doing, but what are the Knicks going to do? Because if you look at what they're doing against the bad teams, they're handling business. But against the better teams, they're struggling mighty. I mean, 2 and 9, bro. Like that's not you can say it's a small sample size if you want to. That's not a small sample size. That's a warning sign. That's a warning sign. So hopefully Brunson is not injured for an extended period of time. Hopefully Mitch don't have problems for an extended period of time. If they do, it's going to be a problem. Because if you look at the Eastern Conference, the younger teams are playing better than expected. Orlando is 2 years ahead of schedule. Indiana is a year ahead of schedule. Like these teams are ahead of schedule, man. So you can't afford to have.
Can I interject a third team that's under the radar that people are not noticing?
Who's that?
Charlotte.
Yeah, I mean,
Charlotte just showed everybody that one good draft pick can turn around the future of any organization. right? And we're not talking about Charlotte because they don't have a dynamic shooting guard that's lighting it up every night. But you know what Charlotte does have? They have potential elite point guard play. They have potential elite rim protection,
Yep.
and they have also potential elite perimeter playmaking in Brandon Miller,
Yep.
right? And so now you're talking about a 6'7" elite playmaker at point, a 7-foot rim protector in Mark Williams, and now you add Brandon Miller, right? Charlotte may be one Zach LaVine trade away from snapping everyone back into this reality that they may not make the playoffs this year if they do that, but they're for certain on your radar going forward after this, right? And the Knicks have Dante DiVincenzo.
For 4 more years. For 4 more years. 4 years, 50 mil.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
is you have to ask because people will say, "Oh, the sky's not falling." I get it. I get it. But you can't afford to have too many bad weeks.
But how can a sky fall when it's already on the ground around you? Aren't you too
Mm.
late? Aren't you too late?
I remember having, I won't even say arguments, man, just debates over the course of the summer. And I was saying, look, if you look at the teams ahead of the Knicks, they're all in a frenzy to make a move to try and improve their chances to win a championship. Because the reality is, when you look out west, the Golden State Warriors, that window is closing. The LA Lakers, they Jekyll and Hyde, so you don't know what you're gonna get from them. And you got the Denver Nuggets,
They may
as
win
good
the
as
in-season tournament tonight.
they might.
Either.
They play. They
Well,
play. They play
you
Indiana.
mentioned both teams, right? You mentioned the Pacers, right?
Yeah. The Pacers
And
are
you just mentioned,
they're
and you
about a year
mentioned
ahead of
the Lakers.
schedule.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like if you look at the Eastern, the strength is in the Eastern Conference. So if you can get through the East, you got a shot. I don't think that Denver is a team that is unbeatable if you have the firepower to do it. Miami they just didn't have it. They were missing a guy. But I said all the teams ahead of the Knicks are scrambling. Boston added 2 All-Stars, and I had dudes saying, "Well, they lost Marcus Smart, man. That's the heart and soul of their team." Come on, bro. Come on, bro. They added 2 All-Stars to their roster. They already had two of them. They had really, I don't think it's any question, the most dynamic young pair of wings in the league. Like, I don't even think that's a question. So you add 2 All-Stars to that. Tyrese Maxey explodes. So James Harden was addition by subtraction. So Philly looks good. Then on top of Philly, oh God, I don't even want to say it, man. You got Boston, you got Philadelphia. I'm gonna stick to those two right now because I don't even want to talk about that third team. But you got some teams that are ahead of us. Or I'll go ahead and say it. You got the Milwaukee Bucks, who went out and got a certified Hall of Fame guard. Who is not a matter of if they're going to figure it out. It's a matter of when they're going to figure it out. So all the teams ahead of us were in an arms race. And people are preaching, oh, man, we got continuity. We got assets. We got draft picks. And we got young players.
You notice you did. I noticed
Well,
you didn't mention Brooklyn.
I don't want to talk about them yet.
Okay,
But here's the thing about Brooklyn. They're right there in the thick of it. They 12-9 too.
right.
You know what I'm saying? And they got young players. They got a ton of draft picks.
Yep.
They right there in it.
They're one
So
consistent backcourt player
yeah,
away from
and
being
you know what? They're a Ben Simmons awakening away from being a really, 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 really good team.
right, right,
Not necessarily a contender, but a really, 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 really good team. To where you're saying, damn, if they just get that one more dude, they might make some noise. So
right.
you have to ask, if you look at the Knicks position, where is that where is that force multiplier going to come from? Right? They're not. I mean, if you look at the trade targets, Minnesota is not trading Karl Anthony Towns right now.
Not in this moment. No.
They're not. He's always been efficient, but he's more efficient right now than he's ever been.
Right. And they
Ever
have to
been.
ride this moment out to see how far they can go.
Right. And then Ant-Man is ascending to a
Right.
top 5 player. Like they're not, so that's off the table. The Donovan Mitchell situation, I think that's probably gonna have to play out for another year. I was hoping that Cleveland would fall apart and get out to a terrible start, but it's probably gonna play out for another year. So if you look around and say, okay, who are the targets? Knicks fans in large tell me they don't want Zach LaVine because he's not a winner. I mean, nobody's a winner in a bad organization or a bad team, but they don't want him. And, DeMar DeRozan is available and is somebody that has physically said he wouldn't mind coming to New York. If you're going to trade me to New York or Miami.
Yeah.
Fans don't want him. So the conversations I'm getting or the feedback I'm getting is, oh, man, you can get Booker in 2026. And I'm like, so what are you going to do between now and 2026 to
who said that? Who did Devin Booker ever say he would consider the Knicks in 2026?
Man, the only thing he ever said was Leon Rose never going to do a good job. That's really all the stars have said, man. They're going to do a good job.
Are we that desperate for attention now that even a wave hello having people wanting to get married?
I mean, here's what I've always been afraid of is that we build up all these assets, we get all these assets, and for a perfect example, this summer when Porzingis was available for trade, there were some of us that were saying, "Look, we need to try to get this dude back. We need to try to get this dude back."
And we think he wants to be back.
Yeah. Yeah, he said I'm open to anything. He was dropping tea leaves and hints that look, I would love to come back to New York and do it again. But you have to ask, like, where's the force multiplier going to come from? The only place it can possibly come from with the Knicks is going to be either RJ Barrett or Quentin Grimes. I'm not really counting Quickley because I think dude is gone. Like whether it be the trade deadline or in the offseason, I think dude is gone. So an RJ Barrett breakout or a Quentin Grimes surprise is what we're banking on. Because the rest of the roster, I don't think Jalen Brunson is going to be much better than he is right now. Same thing with Julius Randle. I don't think he's going to be much better than what he is right now. DiVincenzo and Hart, I mean, those dudes, they kind of are what they are, man. They're good role players. Mitch kind of is what he is. I mean, where is it going to come from? The only place it can jump from is Barrett or Grimes. So there are some names out there that we talked about previously that we needed, like for a wing. I think Washington got 2 dudes that can help the Knicks, but I don't think they're going to make a move in that direction. So the scary part about it is the young teams are so far ahead of schedule. And the question was posed today. Somebody asked me, do you think that Orlando can sustain this type of play where they're floating between the 4 seed and the 6 seed? And I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't they?
All you have to do is look at the ingredients.
Yeah, why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
I mean, if they're healthy, like they're going to do it.
That team is one Malcolm Brogdon away from being as good as the Celtics.
Yeah.
In my mind.
That team is I think they're 15-7 now, and they've already beaten Boston. They already beat Milwaukee. Like they beat some good teams. They beat Denver. Like they beat some of the best teams in the NBA.
How about they smacked some great teams already?
Yeah. And they've been right in there with some of the other teams. So I mean, like I see a good team when I look at our team, but I don't see a ton of upside on this team. A lot of people were offended when Kenny Smith and Charles Barkley said this is why the Knicks are going to stay in the middle. No matter who they play, they're never going to have the best player on the court. They named some teams, and a lot of people were saying it was hate, but I'm listening to them like, I can't say any lies are detected. I can't say any lies are detected. So you're looking at a good basketball team, but the question you have to ask is there a glass ceiling? Yes, I think there's a glass ceiling, but the question is how low is the glass ceiling? Is it conference finals? Is it second round? Is it first round? Is it play-in? Those are the questions that you have to ask. And if you look at all the moves that were made this summer, look at what has been done or what has not been done. If you notice, every time it's brought up, we get a leak saying, "Oh, the Knicks are monitoring the trade market. They're monitoring the trade market to see if there's going to be a superstar available." I mean, who is it going to be? I mean, all the superstars are in a winning situation right now. Joel Embiid's in a winning situation. Donovan Mitchell's, they're winning in Cleveland. They got, I think, they're 13-9. I mean, they're in a winning situation. Devin Booker, the Suns are 12-10. They're somewhat in a winning situation, And then you got some other teams that are just not going to trade with the Knicks. Mikal Bridges will be a good fit, but they ain't going to trade with the Knicks. OG Anunoby will be a good fit for the team, but we suing them, so they ain't going to trade with the Knicks. I mean, the only team I think that can offer the Knicks what this team sorely needs, right now would be the Wizards, and that would be Denny Avdija or Kyle Kuzma, the wing with some length. They can defend a little bit and can score. But I'm saying, they say they monitoring the trade market, but they also saying they ain't talking to Chicago about DeRozan and Levine. Who they monitoring?
Nobody. No, but they ain't monitoring nobody, bro. The Knicks front office is asleep.
I think that's just something they putting out there, man, to kind of keep fans at bay. Because I'm telling you, people were mad, but what Kenny Smith said, it was the truth. We play Boston, we don't have the best player on the floor. We play Philly, we don't have the best player on the floor. That's just the truth.
Wood, you remember when we had this? See, it'll be, and what Knicks fans don't recognize is it will be 4 years come February that this Leon Rose thing started, right? In earnest, right? See, the real anniversary is next month in January, when the rumors were like, "Oh, the Knicks are looking for an agent type like Bob Myers." The Knicks like the Bob
Pelinka.
Myers type thing. Rob Pelinka. Hey, I said Bob, I said Bob Myers for a reason. I was gonna get to it, right. The Rob Pelinkas, the Bob Myers in that scenario, right? Like, we value what Bob Myers brought to the Golden State Warriors, how he turned that thing around, and now the organization is more valuable than it's ever been, and all these type things, right? That's when it's 4 years. Next month will be 4 years. And then Leon Rose shows up on the radar, right, at the end of January. And then it becomes official in that February after he divests himself from CAA holdings and things of that sort, so it won't be a conflict of interest, right? So what, in 4 years, have you seen them make the trade for a star that Knicks fans have been anticipating since day one?
Nah. And you know what? Dolan gonna be anticipating it too. I mean, like, right now he's counting playoff dollars, so he's good right now. But if they don't start performing better, bro, against the good teams, I mean, they'll still be at worst. I think they'll still at the absolute worst. They'll be a play-in team at the absolute worst, because they're undefeated. They're gonna scrub the bad teams. Like, Thibodeau and these guys are not gonna lose. They're not gonna lose to a Washington. They're not gonna lose to a Charlotte. They ain't gonna lose to a San Antonio. So they got a floor of 35 wins just because those teams are terrible, and they're gonna win pretty much all those games. But if they don't start doing better against these better teams, it's gonna have people looking at the glass ceiling like, man, the glass ceiling, it's got a mark on it that says second round. That's it. Like I can see Boston through the ceiling. I can see Philly through the ceiling. I can see Milwaukee through the ceiling. But
you can see Orlando.
I can see Orlando.
Indiana.
They crawling up past the ceiling. I can see Indy. But it says second round.
Yeah.
Like, The
Bro.
biggest thing that I have a problem with is, like, for example, if I say the Knicks need to trade Evan Fournier and Quentin Grimes and the 2024 first round pick for DeMar DeRozan right now, the response I'm gonna get is that's not gonna win us a championship.
Right.
But you don't predicate your moves on, oh, I'm not gonna make this move, even though it's gonna make the team way better than it is. I'm not gonna make this move because it's not gonna automatically win us a championship.
Right.
So you don't stay in pat just because. Like, contenders.
Can I ask you? May I ask you a question?
Sure.
Who the hell do the Knicks think they are to think that they could just show up and do one trade and win a championship?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Well, I
probably
mean,
should say who the heck do the Knicks think they are when they could just show up and do one trade, and then that's going to guarantee them a championship.
But you know what? That's what we're getting. That's what the media is reporting, though. That they're monitoring the market for a superstar. And Scott Perry has said on the podcast he's on, oh well, we looked at Donovan Mitchell and we said that he's not a singular force.
Right.
I'm like, all you're saying to me is that you don't have confidence that you can put a team around them. That's what you're telling me. Like, singular forces don't get traded. And then if you do trade for a singular force like Toronto did, it's a painful trade. Like, it's going to be painful. Like, 2 summers ago, the Knicks weren't getting Donovan Mitchell and it not be hella painful.
Right.
The Lakers didn't get LeBron James and it not be hella painful. They didn't get Anthony Davis and it not be painful.
Right.
Like, it's even Dallas traded for Kyrie, it was painful. Like, right. You got to give up something.
Phoenix for Kevin Durant.
It was a painful trade.
Phoenix for Bradley Beal.
Painful. Bradley Beal. Give up Chris Paul. Like, it was a painful trade. So, monitoring the market and looking for a deal that's not gonna cost you a ton of picks and all your young players pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, it really ain't gonna happen.
Right.
It's not gonna happen. When these singular forces, Scott Perry put it, get traded, it's a painful trade. You talking about trading picks that are 5-6 years down the line, bro. It's a painful trade. But the thing is, the best asset to have on your team is roster talent. Period. Roster talent can always be flipped into younger talent and draft picks.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. I just want to, but before the point gets too far away from, I wanted to reach back and ask you about a point that you made before it gets out of reach. When Scott Perry was talking about that one talent that makes you a championship level contender, you know what I thought about when he said that? He stretched his hand as wide as he could and slapped Tom Thibodeau across the face with it. I think it was a shot at Tom Thibodeau, right? What I was thinking when he said that was he is telling everybody that you could go get Donovan Mitchell and whoever you want, but Tom Thibodeau is not going to be able to coach this team to a championship. That's what I thought. Right? That's what I thought. Like, it don't matter if you go get LeBron James. Tom Thibodeau's not going to coach him to a championship.
You know what?
That's what I heard.
Thibodeau was a good coach, but I don't see him winning a championship unless he has overwhelming roster talent, right? Like, you can give Tibbs a roster with 15 corpses on it. They're going to play solid defense. They're going to be in and out of the playoffs at minimum. But in order for me to say, man, yeah, we're going to win it all, the team would need to have overwhelming roster talent. But it was interesting that you brought up the name Bob Myers, because if we're being honest, if this thing does not work and it falls apart, he needs to be the first person they call. He needs to be the first person they call, because, if you're going to hire an agent, hire somebody that's got a resume behind him that's done it before. Because what we found out is that Leon Rose got beef with a lot of agencies out there.
Yeah, man.
So we got players that were Clutch Sports that are like Clutch Sports saying you ain't going there.
Right. Right.
You ain't going to New York. It's not Zach LaVine saying he doesn't want to go to New York. It's his people, quote unquote, his agency saying we ain't going to New York.
Yeah. 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 That's very interesting, my friend. That's very interesting. And that you have all of these storylines surrounding one general topic. And at first I used to think, maybe this is about the Knicks circling the drain and this thing is about to go down the drain, but I don't think it's that. Right? I think it's more akin to the buzzards circling the half dead person in the desert, right? Like just waiting for this last moment to occur, just waiting for the Brunson Randall thing not to work so that, you know what I'm saying? That's what I think it may be. That this may be what I'm looking at. And I don't want to go that far, right? Because at the end of the day, I know that it's illustrating something that may not be as accurate as we think, because as fans we only see it from the outside. We are not NBA insiders, so all we can go by is the stuff that's fed to us, and sometimes spoon fed to us. But smart people can look at things, can look at the tea leaves and make an accurate depiction on a representation on what actually may occur and what's happening.
Yeah. And I mean, the biggest thing that I would like to see, man, is at least the front office show that they're making steps to improve the roster beyond signing players that have chemistry and good relationship with. Man, give us as much talent as we can get. And if the coach can't get it done with that talent, then fire the coach. Because to me, I would trade Tibbs for Ime Udoka today, like without question. Without question.
My new hotness at coach, not to cut you, but my new hotness at coach is Lloyd Mosby in Orlando.
I knew you were going to say that name.
That's my new
you know why I'm happy for him? Because brothers normally get jobs in the NBA. John Vaughn is a prime example. They get jobs in the NBA, and Alvin Gentry is another example. And they get to coach them long enough till that team is just about to explode.
Right.
And they get rid of them. So, what he's doing in Orlando, man, players are buying in, everybody on the roster is developing, and dudes are buying into their roles. Like Cole Anthony's like, cool, I'll be a spark off the bench.
Yep.
Cool, I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
So, everybody knows their role. They got young talent. They're just, like you said, a proven vet away from being like ultra dangerous.
Yep.
So, I think that dude legitimately has a shot, man. If they can win 45 to 50 games, he getting coach of the year.
Yep.
Like he getting it. Like it to me, it's no question. He's getting coach of the year.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah, I like him as a coach too. So I mean, if they don't fix this, man, and they keep this subpar record against the winning teams, Thibodeau is eventually gonna walk the plank. Yeah. Because that's the recipe of floating, around 500, man. In the New Eastern Conference, floating around 500 to have you close to that play-in. So they got to get it right. If they don't get it right, Tibbs eventually gonna walk the plank, man. And when he does it, I hope Johnny Bryant is ready. I hope he's ready, because Knicks fans have such a high expectation for Johnny Bryant.
Right. But here's what has Johnny Bryant ever done?
My understanding is that he's done a good job developing guards. Like he did, he helped.
Like you mean like Grimes? like Quickley, like Deuce McBride. I mean, he is right there in the gym with them every day. So he's the guard whisperer.
I don't know.
You see what I'm going with? I'm not bashing Johnny Bryant. I'm not bashing Johnny Bryant.
And I feel you. But if they fire Tibbs, I want them to circle back, because if you remember, we interviewed Ime Udoka. They interviewed him.
Yeah.
Before he got the Boston job. They interviewed him. And and I get they hired Tibbs. Tibbs really wanted the job. Tibbs
had one.
He was CAA. Udoka was also CAA, from my understanding. And he had a resume, and at the time Udoka did. So if they fire Tibbs, I want them to circle back and get Udoka, because it's look at what he's doing in Houston. It's proven that brother man can coach. Right. He can coach. He's the one that Popovich should have handed the reins over to. Because dude can coach.
Yeah, he's gonna get that job. That's Brett Brown's job.
Yeah.
That's Brett Brown, man. Brett Brown. That's
Yeah. I mean, if we fire Tibbs, nothing against Johnny Bryant, but go get Udoka, man. If you got to trade him a pick to get him, do it. Right. Speaking of coaching, it was refreshing to hear Monty Williams keep it a buck. They asked Monty why he took the job, and Monty straight told him. He gave him, of course, the issue. We got the players, we got the front office, we got the coaching staff. He said, but it's also about the money.
Yeah.
He said, I'd be lying if I told you it wasn't about the money. So that was refreshing to hear Coach Hank say that, the money matters. They offered me $78 million for. I'm here.
Yeah. And former Knicks draft pick Monty Williams, by the way.
Yeah, I remember Monty's on that 94 team.
Yeah. Out of Notre Dame. Yeah.
I remember Monty was on that. He was on that team.
Yeah. We got Monty Williams and Charlie Ward in the same draft.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember him. I remember him on that team.
Yeah. Doug Christie was on that team. Yep.
Yeah. He was.
Yeah, everybody. Man. So Woodshed always seems to the big boss man always seems to sober us, like bring us back to the moment, like ground us in the moment. Like when we get too far away from reality, he'll like bring us back to life. Like, no, this is what's really going on. Man, I appreciate the time, bro.
Always, man. Hopefully they do something, man. Like,
they won't.
I don't think that they will. Man, because I think that the stuff we're hearing in the media, I think that's coming straight from the MSG front office, and I think they're leaking it out there that, look, we ain't finna make a trade that we don't think is gonna push us over the top. I don't even think there's a trade that could push them over the top. I mean, unless Embiid or Giannis, requested a trade. But it would be nice to see them, trying and get somebody. Get a Jeremy Grant, get a Malcolm Brogdon, get somebody that can help the team, man. But I doubt it happens.
Yeah, I doubt it happens, man. This front office has pulled not the Great Gatsby. I don't want to say the Great Gatsby. I'll say they've pulled a Harry Houdini on us. Not a disappearing act in a sense, but pulled the wool over our eyes in a sense. Right? Like the art of illusion is what we're experiencing right now. Right? And not that Brunson is a bad player, because he's a very good player. And Absolutely. Not that Julius Randle in this moment is playing the best basketball of his career. Yep. Right? That man is shooting 65% from the floor in the month of December. right?
Yep.
And you can't say he's doing it against dead bodies because he did it against Toronto, Milwaukee, and Boston, right? But
Yeah.
we all know Randall at his best may not be the guy that leads you to a championship team. At least we don't think he's that guy. Now, can he be that guy with some help? Potentially. Right. 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 But we've never seen Randall in the conference finals. Right.
No,
We've never seen any
he
of them
hadn't played
guys.
in the playoffs till he got to New York. That was his first time in the playoffs.
Josh
You know,
Hart also.
part the same thing. He
Yep.
came in New York. This is his first time in the playoffs.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
I mean, like, I don't know, man. I don't see where the exponential growth is going to come from. I mean, a lot of people say, man, he being so negative. Now, I'm just being realistic. Like, I'm looking at the young and up teams that are coming up around us. I'm looking at the teams that were ahead of us, make trades for all-stars and Hall of Famers. And I'm saying, like, what are we in it for? I mean, what are we in it for? I don't think that we can outdo a Dame and Giannis in the series. I don't know if we can outdo Embiid and Maxey in the series. I don't think we can outdo Tatum, Brown, Porzingis, and Holiday in the series.
Or
So
Orlando Magic in a series.
I don't know if we. And
And
just
Indiana Pacers in a series.
and I said we'll beat Orlando in 5 games. Not sure. I don't
I
know any.
don't see that. I don't see that.
So I mean, the question you have to ask is, what can we do to be better against the better teams? That's going to determine the ceiling. And, if we depend on Brunson to score 40 and Randall to have a 25-point triple-double, can't really bank on those.
RJ's got to be 7 for 13 from 3. Yeah, this is a lot to ask. You know what I'm saying?
It's, high floor, but moderately low ceiling. So, it's some got to shake, man. We got a ton of picks. We got young players. We got a huge expiring contract that they better not let walk for free. They better not let that M48 contract they better
come
not.
off the books.
They better not just let that come off the books. Like
Right.
that would be crazy to me if that's not used.
Right.
It would be crazy to me if it's not used.
Right. Right. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I'm in this space where you see certain teams out there are prime for the picking, right? Like Portland has veterans that you can pluck because Portland's not going anywhere.
Yep.
Right. Memphis is 4 games away from getting Ja Morant back to making a run at the play-in. Right? Can you pluck a Marcus Smart from them? Golden State looks like it's the end of the road for them.
Oh yeah.
Right? You have Washington with veterans that I'm certain would love to jump ship.
Yeah.
And Washington would love to get the number 1 pick.
Yep.
Right? You have Detroit with
Philadelphia, man.
Yeah. And in my mind, the sleeper of all these teams, right? There are 2 sleeper teams that are off the radar right now that could make a serious push because they have certain things in place, right? The Atlanta Hawks, the Chicago Bulls, the Charlotte Hornets, all could make a serious push, especially if Toronto trades away OG Anunoby and Pascal Siakam. Right? If Charlotte gets Pascal Siakam to go with Brandon Miller, LaMelo Ball, Mark Williams.
Yeah, they say Atlanta likes Pascal too.
Yeah. I think Atlanta would be wise not to do that though. They'd be wise to let the Jalen Johnson kid start.
Yeah.
And continue and continue to come along. But if Atlanta could get a small forward or a backcourt player to be consistent with Trae Young, Because quite honestly, man, I think Trae Young is the problem in Atlanta. Right.
Well,
Not
he's definitely the common denominator, bro. So
yeah, because he can't shoot,
yeah, he's not efficient. He can play make out of this world, but
but he's not. Yeah,
he's not a good he's not a good bad shot maker. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? He
and
take a lot of bad shots. Steph
yeah,
Curry does too. Dame does too.
yeah,
But they good bad shot makers. This dude ain't.
yeah. He's not it, man. And then if you think Miami is going anywhere, then you may have lost it. And then you
Yeah,
have your Brooklyns, your Clevelands. If they figure it out, right? If they figure it out in Cleveland, if they figure it out in Brooklyn,
yeah. They
you
just
know,
need Cleveland just needs Mosley to come on faster than they like. If Mosley was doing what Wagner or that Carroll was doing right now, they'd be a problem.
I think it is. I just don't think it's enough. I think they need they yeah, yeah. Yeah, man. I don't know if it's enough, but man, appreciate you coming through Saturday night, man. Big Boss Man Roundtable. You got anything you want to tell everybody before we get out of here for good? For good?
Yeah, man. Keep hope alive, man. Don't attack each other. Listen to each other's opinions. Respect each other's opinions. And at least consider what the opposition is saying.
Yeah, y'all. Thank y'all everybody for listening to the Big Boss Man Roundtable. 718 boys in the morning, old school Knicks in the morning. It's been the Big Boss Man, your main man, Uncle Freezie, man. We out of here. Peace, everybody.